We want to find a missing angle in a right triangle. Our question is this here. We want to find the angle X. We are given the length of the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the longer side of the right triangle, and the adjacent side is the side which is closer to the angle that we are talking about, and the opposite side is the one opposite to the angle. So but with our example, the opposite side is this side because we have X here. Now, to solve such a question, we use three main functions in trigonometry: the sine, the cosine, and tan. Now let's look at the formula. Sine X is always equal to the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. Cos X is equal to the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse, and tan X is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. You can remember this formula by so, ka, twa. These formulas, so is sine is equal to opposite divided by hypotenuse, ka, cos, we have adjacent and hypotenuse here, tan, opposite divided by adjacent, so twa. It comes from the beginning of the words, so, ka, twa, to help you remember the formula. Now let's dive in and start solving the question. We are looking for X, so we have these formulas available for us to be able to solve for X. Now let's look at the information we have. We have the opposites, we have the hypotenuse, so I would ignore any formula that has the adjacent because the adjacent is not given. Of course, you can find the adjacent first and use another method like the Pythagoras Theorem to find the adjacent, and later you can use that to use the cosine formula. But why would you go through that length if you could just solve it? So I think the formula that we would use is the sine formula because the tan also is involved with the adjacent that is not given. So let's look at the sine. So sine X, so now sine X is equal to the opposite. Where is my pen? Okay, so sine X is equal to the opposite. In our case, the opposite is 3, and then we have divided by the hypotenuse, which is 5, and 3 over 5 divided by 5 is 0.6. Now we have sine X is equal to 0.6. How can we find X? To find X, we have to use the sine inverse. Now that shouldn't scare you very much. First of all, let's look at something here. Imagine we did not have sine, but we had X squared is equal to 0.6. To find X, we would have to remove the squared sign away, and the inverse of squaring something is the square root. So we would find the square root of this using the inverse. So we'll find the square root of X squared, we have X, and then we'll find the square root of 0.6. In the same manner, when we want to find X, we'll have to use the sine inverse of 0.6. So now let's go on. We have X is equal to the sine inverse of 0.6. Now you can find the sine inverse. If you have any scientific calculator, you can use. If you don't have a scientific calculator, luckily now you can download scientific calculators from Google Play or store, or I don't know, Apple. So you can just go on and download one, and then you just put in sine inverse 0.6. That's what I did, and the sine inverse of 0.6 is 36. It's approximately 36.9, which I would say approximately 37 degrees. So the angle, the x is 37, the value is 37 degrees. Now imagine we have another question. We have a question where we are not given the opposite side, neither are we given the adjacent side, and we are luckily given the angle. So what the question is, we want to find the adjacent side. So let's see here what we will do. The angle we are given is 37 degrees. But we don't know the opposite side, we don't know the adjacent side. We can still use one of these formulas to solve this problem. Let's look at what we have and what formula we can choose. We have the angle, that's fine. We have the hypotenuse. So having the hypotenuse makes us maybe discard the tan. Now we are left with the sine and the cosine. Now to find, the question is we have to find the adjacent side. So the formula that contains the adjacent side is the cosine. So we would use the cosine instead of the sine. So now let's go on and solve for this, the length of the adjacent side. So the same thing, we start with cos. We know x is 37, so we write cos 37 is equal to, now our formula is the adjacent, that is what we are looking for, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 5. Now the 5 is dividing, so if it crosses the equal sign, it becomes multiplication. So we have 5 times the cos of 37. This is what we are looking for. The same way you reach out for your scientific calculator, you type in 5 times, and then you have cos 37. I used my calculator and I had something like 3.99. So I would say it's approximately, it was approximately 3.99. And so I would say it's approximately 4. So the length of the adjacent side is 4. The last thing I would like to look at is, you have a right triangle again. You have the adjacent side, you have the hypotenuse, and they tell you to look for the opposite side. It could be also you have the hypotenuse, you have the opposite side, you have to find the adjacent side. What you can do here is to use the Pythagoras Theorem. So Pythagoras Theorem says that the hypotenuse squared is equal to the opposite squared. So I represent it by h squared is equal to o squared plus the adjacent squared, so a squared. In our case here, we have the hypotenuse to be 5. So 5 squared is 25. It's equal to the opposite side. That's what we are looking for. So we leave it as it is. And then we know the adjacent side. 4 squared is 16. Now to find o squared, we have, or the opposite side, we have 25 minus 16 I move the 16. If I move it to the, and it crosses the equal sign, it becomes minus. So it's equal to the whole squared. Now we have 25 minus 16 is 9. So 9 is equal to the whole squared. And this implies that the opposite side, we have to take the square root of 9. Of course, the square root of 9 is plus or minus 3, but we are talking of length, so we normally take the positive side. So the opposite side is 3. So the length of the opposite side is 3. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel. I'll be putting up more videos so we can learn together. Press the subscribe button. Thank you. Bye.